everyone. Hope everyone is safe. This is February. February is National Cherry Month. Who doesn't like cherries in February? Also, it's National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Month. So, I found a way to incorporate everything together. Apologize, let me get my pans together here. So, we're first going to start with making a nice cherry topping, okay? And then we're going to make some quick, easy pancakes using some lovely Krusteaz mix. Oh, little issue. Bear with me here. Okay, so I got my little saute pot on here. Sauce pot, I'm sorry, not saute. I'm making a sauce pot. And this is, were frozen cherries. I like to get a combination of the sweet and tart cherries. To me, it just adds a nice little balance versus it just all being one flat cherry flavor. That little tart cherry adds something to it. When I do pies for the holidays in the cafe, I try to make sure I insert some of these tart cherries in there. Okay, so the reason there's liquid in here, again, these were frozen, and because they've thawed, they've let out a little juice. So I'm going to pour these into my sauce pot here. Careful, you don't want to splash all this juice everywhere. But frozen berries are perfect to use for making toppings. Some people are against using anything frozen, but most of the time, I'm going to say maybe 99% of the time, when these items are frozen, they're what's called IQF, individually quick frozen. They're fresh frozen. So we've got our cherries here, and I've got some fresh squeezed lemon juice, and I'm just going to take out a teaspoon of that there. Now remember, these are already semi-tart, going to have a semi-tart taste because of the few tart cherries in there. I'm going to use a combination of both brown and white sugar. I just like that richness that the molasses adds with that brown sugar. Okay, and then I've got some white sugar here. I won't use it all. This doesn't need to be terribly sweet because we're actually going to be doing something a little different with pancakes versus just your regular pancakes, butter, and maple syrup. I am going to put just a little bit of ground cinnamon in there. That little bit of ground cinnamon, your mouth is going to, there's a little spice in there, and that's just from that little bit of cinnamon in there, okay? Not even quite a fourth a teaspoon. Not even really quite an eighth a teaspoon. So we're going to let that come up to a simmer. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. And we're going to make a cornstarch slurry. Okay. So this is my little cups with lids. This is just some plain regular cornstarch that we're going to add cold water to make a slurry once this has come to a nice little boil. Okay. So what we're going to assemble today with the National Cherry Month / National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Month, I thought what better way than to make a cherry topping and put some vanilla ice cream between some layers of fresh, hot flapjacks. So it's going to be a nice little treat there. So I'm going to cook this, and I would imagine you could do this with any kind of fruit. I chose cherries because it's National Cherry Month, and you gotta go with it. Gotta go with it. So I'm gonna just start here my quick pancake batter. Again, this is the Krusteaz brand pancake mix. You just add water to it, and I get it's a processed product, but when you don't have time for measuring, believe it or not, it takes time to measure. This works out. And I know I'm using a cup. I'll probably use 2 cups of this. Got some guys who are ready for some pancakes. Okay. And this batter is really universal. You can mix it and add chocolate chips to it. You can add cinnamon to this and it'd be a little spice on here. Around the holidays, I do put cinnamon and chocolate chips in it. My son Bubba, everybody knows Bubba. If you know me, you know Bubba. He loves pancakes. Now, he refuses to eat bread, but he loves pancakes. So sometimes I'll put the cinnamon and chocolate chips in there, and the crowd goes wild with that. So it's really endless. This is just your foundation. I was talking to a friend about how important it is to have a foundation when you're cooking. You got to start here with the foundation. So this here is going to be my foundation. But from there you can build up so much. With this cherry topping, you can build so much. So the foundation is key with a lot of things. It'll come up to temperature here in a little bit. So again, this is just an add water mix. Now you can add water, or you can add milk too sometimes, but a lot of times there's already milk powder in your processed mix. So I'm going to give this a little mix here. Need a little more water in this. And you can, if you like your batters thick and dense, where it gets stuck in your throat when you eat it, hey, have at it. Otherwise, I like to thin mine out a little bit. Okay, a little bit. I'm still debating, should I take Bubba home some pancakes or not? It's still in the air. So, I still add a little bit more water to this. I am just eyeing this mix into the consistency that you like for pancake batter. So many different ways with scooping pancakes to try to get uniform size. I like to just take my batter and pour it right into a measuring cup. It's just easier for me to handle. So, just a basic little pancake mix. Pancake batter, should I say. And again, it is a foundation that you can do so much more with. Okay? So, pull that water out of there. I'm going to take my batter and pour it into my measuring cup. That way when I go to make pancakes, it's a little easier for me to handle. Just trying to take your bowl and pour it over your pan to make pancakes, or if your griddle, if you have a griddle at home. It's a little easier to maintain if you just poured it into a measuring cup. In my instance, it's easier for me. So, we've got our pancake batter there. Actually, let me get it another little whisk. It's a little residuals from the water in the cup itself. I see at the top here. So, I'll mix that a little bit more. Our cherries have not quite come up yet to a boil. Okay. There's that. You can use any flavor of ice cream. We're just going to use vanilla. That's what we have in-house, so I'm going to use vanilla. If you have some fresh, if you want to put some fresh lemon zest into this too, you're more than welcome to do that. So again, I have just my plain cornstarch here, and I've got some water here, and I'm going to pour this into this. Now, I'm going to just use the back of my measuring spoon so I can get the corners of or the edges down in the edges of this, okay? And make a quick little slurry. Once my cherries come up to that boil that I want it to come to, then I'll add my slurry in there. Okay? I think I want to add a little more sugar just from the color. I want a nice little glossy red. Smells great. So if you like maraschino cherries, I mean, I wouldn't cook it down, but I mean, if you like that flavor of maraschino cherries, or just take some maraschino cherries and use on top of your dish, that's fine as well. So it's coming up to that little boil. I don't know if you can see it at home, but I want to take my slurry. And I'm not going to add it all to there. I'm going to add a little at a time. There's nothing worse than making a slurry and you're trying to thicken your product here and you put too much in there and it's so thick. So you can always dilute it down. So I do have extra water here too if my mixture gets a little too thick and I don't like its thickness. So that's what that extra water's for. This slurry will give it a nice little gloss as well. Slurry is, when someone refers to that term, it usually is always cornstarch and water. Growing up, watching my grandmother cook, she always made gravy, and she always used flour and water. And it wasn't until I went to culinary school when I understood, but I can understand why using flour and water. I still use flour and water when I'm making gravy, but there's what they call classical training for some things. I'm sure my chefs didn't classically train me to use the end of a tablespoon, but it works. Okay, so I'm getting a little boil. I'm getting much more of a boil, and I'm probably just going to add this all into there. Okay. Cherries are looking really lovely. And you want to let the cornstarch cook for a little bit. Let it get that boil. Let it take its time. That way it cooks that starchy flavor out of there too. And it's a very mild flavor, but you do want to cook that out of there and let it come to its boil. Once this comes up thickened, you're going to take it off the heat and let it cool for a little bit before we go putting it directly into our pancakes. So it will still be warm once we put it on our pancakes, but I think we're good. Smells delicious. So we'll let that cook up, and then we'll whip out a few flapjacks, and then we'll have ice cream for breakfast. National Ice Cream for Breakfast and National Cherry Month. Okay guys, it is time for me to start our pancake building. Our cherry sauce here, sticking to the right little consistency there. It's got that little sweet and that little tart. It's delicious. Okay, got a little plate ready for pancakes. Now typically at home, unless you have a skillet, a griddle, unless you have a little griddle at home, learn how to make it on a little saute pan. Apologize. I've made my very first pancakes. I'll never forget, I don't know the exact day, but I do know it was the day of the San Francisco earthquake. Only way I know that is because my parents were at the hospital. My mom has asthma. She was at the hospital. And I was at home with my siblings. I'm the oldest daughter of the 4 kids. I have an older brother. And they're hungry, and I'm hungry. I see pancake mix, and that was the very first thing I ever learned to cook was pancakes. And I'll never forget it again because it was the same day as the San Francisco earthquake. It was one of the scariest days of my life. Growing up in California, I was used to earthquakes, but that earthquake was different for a kid. I was about 7 years old. 7 or 8, something around there. So in this case, we're going to use a little pan spray. You can use butter. Butter will give it a little crispy edge. We're just going to use pan spray. Okay, and I've got my temp here. Let's get it to, let's see here. Now it wants to act funny with me. 400's a little too high. 300's a little too low. It's like, where do you go from here? Let's just stay at 300. Okay, so we're going to pour one in. Like I said, we're not going to make big pancakes, but it is a little easier to handle when you're just using a measuring cup. Pour your batter in a measuring cup. Or if you want to use an ice cream scoop and you scoop each one, that's fine too. There's usually a general rule of thumb when making pancakes. You want to make sure there's several bubbles up top. I'm going to turn this up to 400. When your pan is low and you're cooking it on low, your pancakes will continue to spread. But with it being on 400, it'd stop it from spreading because it's starting to really cook it. So, but the rule of thumb with making pancakes is you want several bubbles up top. When you go to flip the pancake, it should be another 30 seconds on the other side and they should be done. So, I thought about bringing my griddle from home. Then I thought again. So, it's not quite done. I know it. I just have to let it be. I am using a fish spatula. That's just what I can find, so it'll be just fine. We're going to get 3 stacks of pancakes, and then we're going to put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, and then we'll top it with, again, our cherry topping. And this will be our conclusion for National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. Now, you can always just get an ice cream cone and have an ice cream cone, but when you incorporate a few little flapjacks with it, you really can't go wrong. So, pancake is nice and colored on that side there. Let it cook for a little longer. Then we'll throw another one. We'll get a nice short stack on here, and then we'll add our ice cream on there, okay? Now, if you're courageous and you want to do 2 pancakes at once, one here, one there, you can do a Mickey Mouse. I used to make Mickey Mouse for my kids all the time. Mickey Mouse pancakes. And they really only wanted the pancakes for Mickey Mouse except for Bubba. Bubba didn't really care what it was. He just knew it was pancakes. The other 2, they're very funny. Very funny. Feels nice and fluffy. So take that guy out there. Throw another inch in. Oh, this guy is out of control. He's going to be big. He's going to be a big one. That's quite alright. I'm sure the guys don't mind. There's the other cooks waiting on the other side for when I finish cooking class so they can try it. So we'll get our stack of pancakes going, and then we'll assemble it all and we'll show you how that looks. So I have a little bit of a short stack going. I've got 4 pancakes there. I was going to try to do 6 small ones. I actually got some mini guys working here too. We've got a couple people who can't have dairy products, so I'll do a little with the cherries and no ice cream. Just a few more, and I got a little bit more batter to go, but I won't get it all done. So, National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, right? No better way than to have it with some pancakes. You can do this with a waffle too. I don't see why not. And I bet it's probably even better with the waffle because you got that different textures of the waffle. Okay, so it's our little short stack there. Probably was wondering is this her soda on the table? No, it's actually ice cream. I didn't want the ice cream to be too hard for me to scoop. So put your vanilla ice cream on top. It's going to melt away already like butter. And then you'll take a scoop of your cherry topping to go right on that, okay? Make sure you get you a lot of juices in there because you want that juice. But you don't want it to overflow on your plate there. So there you have National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. Pancakes, ice cream, and cherry topping. Hope you guys enjoy it.